pretty much most of the AI semiconductor chip market for the month of June, not done very well. Now, AMD did okay, but if you look, like Broadcom was down 17+% in the month of June. NVIDIA only up 11%. And we could take a look at another one. Let's just grab AMD here. And we're going to talk about these in the capacity of the overall market. AMD is up 14+%. If you compare those numbers to, say, Micron or some of the other AI memory stocks, is the excitement around AI semiconductor stocks over? Is NVIDIA ran its course? We're going to talk about all that in this video. Should you sell them? Should you buy something else? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Thanks for giving me a few minutes. I promise you're going to have an answer here. I'm going to give you my opinion. My name's Austin. If you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks for giving me a few minutes. I promise, and my goal is to give you value for a few minutes of your time, because that's my job, as I see it, is to help you navigate this and make some decisions, okay? Because ultimately, it really is about that. Is it Broadcom? Time to sell it. It's down 16+% in the month. Is it time to sell? Because here's an interesting scenario, because there's a bigger question here. Broadcom's Q2 beat included a 40% revenue growth and 143% AI semiconductor gains, but shares fell because elevated valuations have outrun even strong results. Look at this. Broadcom does carry 44 buy ratings with a $524 consensus price target, and we're at 378 right now. So we do have some room to move up. But here's where it gets interesting. 63x trailing PE leaves little margin if AI growth disappoints. And they did give guidance for Q3 AI chip revenue to $16 billion, a 200+ year-over-year jump that could restore investor sentiment if delivered. Here's what it comes down to. This is interesting. Go back to Micron's earnings announcement. Blistering hot. Beat everything. But it's also those valuations, the PE, right? And I think there's a valid point here. There's a valid point in this one sentence. Elevated valuations outran even strong results, and the trailing PE leaves little margin if AI growth disappoints. That's the problem. I think for Broadcom and its current valuation, you're talking about some razor thin numbers here, a line that to be walked. Whereas if you look at like Micron, still a lot of room to move, if you will. And I think that's partly what we're seeing. I think the major run up in AMD, Broadcom, excuse me, let me move that there. Apologize. AMD, NVIDIA, Broadcom, just to kind of use these as kind of announcements, or excuse me, not announcements, as to use them as kind of like, just looking at them. It's a situation where, is it time to sell or buy more? And how I look at it is simply this. I still own them. I own AMD, I own Broadcom, and I own NVIDIA, because I think obviously AI CapEx expenditures are not going to slow down. They're going to continue. And it's the companies that are selling the picks and the shovels, meaning the semiconductors, those are picks and shovels. And I've kind of given you this gold rush, this Western United States gold rush back in the day. The people that got really rich were the people that were selling the picks and shovels. In this kind of scenario, the picks and shovels are the semiconductors, the memory, all the different parts of the stack. Corning with the, fiber optic cabling inside the data centers, so forth. Those are the companies that have really had massive valuations. If you go look at some of the valuations of the hyperscalers, not great, okay? They're the ones that are bleeding money to try to build all of the data centers. They're the ones giving all the money to the Broadcoms, the AMDs, the Microns, the SK Hynix, all those kind of things. Does it make sense? That's how I look at it. Now, I don't think that expenditure, capital, money for AI is going to slow down. I've been doing a lot of videos talking about that in the context of Micron. Okay. And Micron, as an example, basically has at least until 2028 runway to build out all their fabrication facilities, when they're going to basically be kind of starting where supply will start to catch up with demand. And there's a lot of things that Micron's done to lock in big contracts, like 16 companies locked into 5-year contracts, and they're not even going to deliver some of the chips until late 2027 into 28, so forth and so on. My point is, if you're looking at the entire AI sector as a whole, it's going to benefit from continued ongoing capital expenditures, money being spent on AMD chips, NVIDIA chips, Broadcom chips, and so forth. Each of these companies has their different valuation story. Each of them has their different earnings story, but they're all part of the AI stack: chips, memory, and so forth. And that, to me, is the value. That, to me, is where it really comes down to, is that money's still going to be spent. It's just how the companies manage it. Broadcom got beat up because people are starting to question the valuation. Just like, we saw right here, 63x trailing PE leaves little margin if AI growth disappoints. I don't think AI growth is going to disappoint, but you're talking about pretty little margin, little room for error here. And that's what beat up Broadcom. Okay. So right here, right now, I'm going to kind of sit back and wait and see what plays out with Broadcom. But as far as new money I'm putting into, AI stocks, I'm not putting anything new into Broadcom. AMD, I think, is a little bit better story. NVIDIA. And NVIDIA, what we've seen with NVIDIA is a capital rotation. I think we've seen money flow out of NVIDIA flowing into Micron, flowing into other parts, other AI, AI build out suppliers. That's what I think is happening. And I think kind of that definitely happened with Broadcom. I think some of that definitely happened because those were the first ones that took off, right? I mean, everybody talks about NVIDIA, how they were kind of the first and all this kind of stuff, but they were the first ones. And NVIDIA is the one that everybody looks at as it relates to semiconductors. Micron's the one that everybody looks at as it relates to memory. Oh, but I think semiconductor chips as a general are not doing great as far as percentage gain over the last month. They're not. So, okay, you can look at it both ways. I'm probably not going to put any new capital right now, but because I'm putting it over, I'm going to put some into SK Hynix when they launch on July 10th, things of this nature, right? But it's a good discussion to have because you need to be aware of this. You need to be aware that some of the leaders in the entire chip sector are not, they're not burning it up like they were. And I think that it's cooled off. And that could be just a resting period. What everybody's going to be waiting for is the earnings reports coming from these respective companies as we roll in the next month or 2, 3 months, what have you, right? That's really what it's going to come down to when we see those earning reports. Everybody was stressing and freaking out about Micron. Everybody was freaking out about Micron. And thank God they delivered a blistering hot report that essentially validated the entire memory sector as it relates to AI expenditures. That's really what happened. And now you got SK Hynix coming into on July 10th. They're coming into the United States, so you can buy SK Hynix shares. And now everybody's excited about that. Again, I think what you're seeing is a capital rotation. You're seeing money move out of NVIDIA, AMD, Broadcom, and moving over into some of these other sectors, and even other parts of the AI stack, as I mentioned earlier. Some of the other stuff, and that's what's playing out, and that's okay. But I don't think it means you need to sell your semiconductor stocks unless you just feel like you need to. Because again, I'm going to go back to this final statement. I think that capital expenditures are going to continue. They have to. There is not a CEO or president of any size company that is not running scared right now and has to have an answer for what our AI plan is for every division of our company, every department of our company, and how much money are we going to spend on that? And ultimately, that comes back to The hyperscalers are funding all this data center build out, but every single board of directors and every single company out there in every, all the way down to a local plumbing store or air conditioning store in your hometown, is trying to figure out how to use AI. That's never happened in the history of time at all. And all of that equals capital at CapEx dollars in one way or the other, depending upon how complex they want to get in that AI spend. That's the key. That's never been here before. We've never seen anything like this ever. And we've got a multi-year run because it's going to take that long to build out. And that's what it comes down to. So yeah, Broadcom's not doing well right now. NVIDIA, AMD, not as well. That doesn't mean I'm selling them. It just means there's money rotating into other stuff. And I think we're still massive upside in all of the semiconductor stocks. It's just everybody's kind of cool on them and everybody's excited about memory right now. That's really what it comes down to. And there'll be another flavor, hot flavor next month, as far as maybe a different part of the AI stack, right? That's what it comes down to. So just be aware of that and don't get emotional or panicky about what you see or hear or whatever, or oh my God, the AI bubble is going to burst. No, it's not. Capital expenditure dollars are not going to burst. They're not going to stop. They're not. Go look at like what Micron announced and look at the comments coming in from the CEO around that. And I've done videos on that. Go watch some other videos here on the channel where I'm specifically talking about Micron. And that gives you glimpses into what we're seeing. Go look at what some of the comments of what the CEO of NVIDIA said. And they're all saying the same thing. Believe me, there is a long runway here for money that needs and will be spent for AI. And it is the company selling the picks and shovels, the chips, the memory, all those kind of things that are dramatically benefiting. It's not, in my opinion, the hyperscalers. Those are the ones that are bleeding capital and bleeding cash. Just my 2 cents. All right. Thanks for giving me a few minutes. Have a good one. Go make some money. Take care.